Alright, joining materials other than by welding, New York codes and rules and regulations. 255-271 scope. This section 255, 273 through 287 of the part prescribe the minimum requirement of the joining materials in pipeline other than by welding. These sections do not apply to joining during manufacture of pipe or pipeline components. General. The pipeline must be designed and installed with each for the joint which sustained with the longitudinal pull out and thrust forces caused by the contraction and expansion of the piping and anticipate external and internal loading. Each joint must be made in accordance with the procedure having improved with the lat test experience with the produce of strong gas tight joints. Each joint must be inspected to ensure compliance with this part. Copper pipe. Copper pipe may not be butt welded, threaded, except that the copper pipe may be used in joining screw fittings and valves may be threaded with the end of wall thicknesses equivalent and comparable size in standard wall pipe. Filler metal used for brazing shall be a copper, phosphorus, silver base alloy. Plastic pipe. A plastic pipe joined joined in solvent and cement adhesive for the heat fusion must be distributed until they're properly set. Plastic pipe may not be joined with threaded joint and miter joint. The quality of the joint shall be checked visually. If there is any reason to believe that the joint is defective, it should be removed and replaced. Heat solvent and cement of the plastic pipe must comply with the following criteria. The mating strip of the joint must be clean, dry, free of material with the detrimentals of the joint. Solvent and cement must conform with the ASTM D2564 as described in section 10.3 of the title. The joint may be heated with the accelerate setting of the cement. Each heat fusion joint on the PE pipe component except for the electrical fusion joints must comply with ASTM F2620 described in section 10.3 of the title and the following criteria. A butted head fusion must be joined with a device hole with a heater element squared to the end of the pipe at the component with the compressor of the heat ends together with the hole of the piping proper alignment according with the appropriate procedure qualified under section 255A3 of this part. Second, heat fusion joint use the device heating mating strip of the pipe at the component uniformly simultaneously established with the same temperature of the device may be used the same device specified operating joining procedure. Socket fusion. Electrical fusion joint must be made with equipment techniques prescribed with the fitting manufacturer equipment techniques shown. Testing joints requirement of section 255 283A13 of this part to be equivalent would better than the requirements of fitting manufacturer. Heat may not be applied to a torch or other open flame. Each adhesive of the plastic pipe must comply with the following criteria. The adhesive must conform with the ASTM specification D2517 described in section 10.3 of the title. Material adhesive must be compatible with each other. Each comparison of the typical mechanical joint of the plastic pipe must comply with the following criteria. Gas material of the coupling must be compatible with the plastic. Rigid interior tubular stiffener, other similar tubular stiffener must be used with the conjunction with the coupling. All mechanical fittings must be listed specification based on the applicable material. All mechanical joints fitted and installed with the January 22nd, 2019 must be category 1, defined and listed specification applicable material provided. C plus resistance force of the pipe joint equal to greater than which will cause no less than 25% elongation of the pipe falls. If the pipe fails outside of the joint area to test in accordance with applicable standards. That was plastic pipe. Alright, plastic pipe qualifying joining procedure. Heat fusion solvent is adhesive joint before any written procedure established under section 255-273. This part of the making plastic pipe joint heat fusion solvent is the heat of the method. The procedure must be called with a subject specimen joined with the pipe in accordance with the procedure following test as applicable. Test requirements of the case thermoplastic sustained pressure test with a minimum hydrostatic burst pressure of the period listed with the specification requirement additional electrofusion joints based on the pipe material with a tensile strength test from the joint of the integrity test player listed in specification. Case of thermosetting plastic pipe paragraph 8.5 with minor hydrostatic burst pressure paragraph 8.9 sustained static pressure test and the ASTM specification D2517 described in 10.3 of the title. In case of electrofusion fitting of the polyethanol piping tubing paragraph 9.1 minimum hydro pressure burst pressure test 9.2 sustained pressure test paragraph 9.3 tensile strength test paragraph 9.4 joint integrity test ASTM 1055 described in section 10.3 of the cell with the procedure with intent with a lateral pipe connection subject specimen joint made with the pipe section at right angle with according to the procedure for the force of the lateral pipe until the failure occurs on the specimen. The failure initiates outside of the joint area. The procedure that qualifies for use. Procedures intent with the not lateral pipe with the forming testing with according to the listed specifications specially elongate no more than 25% of the failure initiates outside of the joint area of the procedure qualifies for a use before written procedure established under section 255 273B with this part, even the making of the mechanical plastic pipe joints procedure must be qualified in accordance with listed specification based on pipe material. A copy of each written procedure being used on the joint plastic pipe must be available to the persons making and inspecting joints. Alright, plastic pipe qualifying person to make joints. No person may make a plastic pipe joint unless the person has been qualified under applicable joint procedure or appropriate training experience with the use of the procedure, making specimen joint with a pipe section of joining, according to pressure, procedure passed with the inspection test for the subdivision B and C with the section. B, the specimen must be visually examined during the after assembly joint and found to have the same appearance of the joint, and photographs of the joint is acceptable under pressure. Shown in the case of the heat infusion and adhesive joint, the joint must be tested under one of the test months listed in 255-283A. The polyethanol heated fusion joints, except for the electrofusion joints, visually inspected within the testing according to the ACM F2620, described in section 10.3 of the title, applicable to the type of the joint with the material being tested. Examine an ultrasonic inspection that found not containing flaws that would cause failure. Cut at least 3 longitudinal straps, each with the visually examined and found with no containing voids, and discontinue the cut surface of the joint. Area to deform, bending, torque, and impact of the failure occurs at the most initiate of the joint area. Person requalified under applicable procedure for that once each calendar year for the intervals not exceeding 15 months after the production of the joint is found unacceptable by testing under section 255, 507, and 511 of this part, inspection by other joining in combination with both. Each operator shall establish a method determining each person making the joint plastic pipelines qualified in acceptance for this section. Alright, inspection of joints. 255, 287, the plastic pipe inspection joint. No person may carry out the inspection joint with a plastic pipe required. Section 255, 273 through 285B with this part unless the person has been qualified. Appropriate training experience in evaluating acceptability of plastic pipe joints made under applicable joining procedures. And that covers joining our materials other than welding.